I am sitting right now in one of the most incredible places. I'm sitting by the Connecticut River in a very historical area, probably one of the most historical areas in southern Vermont. A lot happened here. Jay produced a YouTube video a while ago, and it was about the glacial clay that I found just south of here with an unidentified creature living in it. It's an incredible discovery. I mean, every dive I do, there's something else to find. So where I am right now, I'm just a few miles north of that glacial clay. And I was diving out here to see if I could find any evidence of that same thing happening in this part of the river is down below. But I haven't. I did not. I'll find little bits and pieces of glacial clay that are exposed, but nothing like the 52-foot depth south of the Westminster Station area. I'm right next to the Adams grist mill that was built in the late 1700s, and at the Bellows Falls Historical Society Riverfront Park. This is an amazing place to have a park. You're walking along some of the most incredible history here, and I've had 6 significant finds here diving in the last 8 months. Most of my dives this year have been right in back of me. We are south of the Bellows Falls Great Falls. Steamboats came up the river in the 1840s, and they actually had to stop at the Bellows Falls Canal locks, which are also just south of me. And those locks, 9 of them, had to take these steamboats up the locks, and the history is amazing. This, again, another mystery, because I actually have found so many things, and I did not know what I was finding. And now it's all coming together with the help of the historical societies and many people that have been explaining what I've found. Some of these structures I found underwater, incredible. I actually found several huge pieces from the paper mills from the early 1800s, and those pieces are right in back of me here. It was amazing, and we found where there was actually a wharf. I discovered an incredible thing just this past year in the fall. I was diving along, and all of a sudden I saw this big mound, and it came up like 18 feet high. And I couldn't figure out why that was there where everywhere else I was diving was 30 feet. So I was curious, what is under this? And I started digging at one corner of it. And lo and behold, I found a very historic structure where the steamboats used to stop. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting to find this. But was really weird, and this is a big mystery, so if anybody knows the answer to this, the water temperature changed drastically. It changed from, I think it was like 49 degrees to 34. And I could see bubbling out of the sand, amazing cold water. It was an underwater cold spring. And this beautiful spot, there's eagles here very regularly, which I'll come up from the bottom and see them. I'm also sitting just south of where the very historic Native American petroglyph site is. It's a very amazing spot. And that's not too far from me. So we have the petroglyphs, we have the steamboat history, we have the canal history, we have beautiful eagles. This is so beautiful here. And this park that the Historical Society owns and operates, this was a park that grants were put in a few years back. Stuart Reed, who was involved with the grant production, actually built a beautiful labyrinth up at the top in Hawk's View. It's just absolutely gorgeous here. So the fishermen are always saying, Annette, what do you see right out here? Well, right in back of me, I can't begin to tell you. There's tons and tons of the walleye, bass, but really important for the fishermen out there, we have short-nosed sturgeon. And right now, the Connecticut River Conservancy is actually doing a study. If anyone out there catches a short-nosed sturgeon, please be sure to report it to CRC, Connecticut River Conservancy, because we're involved in this major research on them. 2 of them have been seen just south of the Vernon, Vermont Dam and Northfield. We want to know are they here in this part of the river. These are the smaller sturgeon. They're 3.5 to 4 feet long, instead of the Atlantic sturgeon, which grow to be 14 feet. So it's extremely important for everyone to help with this research. Now that the river is so clean, it is so amazing. I have 30-foot visibility here, and I used to have 3-inch visibility here. So it's just so wonderful to think of what was here. This was an amazing historical area where a lot of inventions for the very first time came about. This went from the Adams grist mill being the only mill here to major industrial development in the 1800s. Amazing. So now the Adams grist mill, coincidentally, is in fact the only structure here, again, along with the TLR mill that was here. The history is unbelievable. No matter what you're interested in, whether it's birding, the Audubon Society are here regularly to see the eagles, but also many other species. There's over 200 species of birds here and that have been identified, which is, I never knew all of this, but I'm learning so much. Over the years, I've learned so much about what we have here, not just underwater, but Fall Mountain is right in back of me, up on the hill. And the most incredible maps were drawn from up above, from Fall Mountain, from Table Rock. The earliest maps in the early 1800s, amazing. And to look up there and see Table Rock, when I hike up there and I'm looking down on where I'm diving and the history here, I can't begin to tell you. You just have this sense of, it's overwhelming, actually, because it's so symbolic of the Native Americans that were here and why they were here. The Great Falls, it's just amazing, the history of the Great Falls. And also, years ago, Lyle Sorensen did an incredible documentary here. And we had Chuck Rattay, who was a very highly recognized geologist. And he gave the most incredible background of this area, how one side of the river was formed totally different than the other. It's amazing. We have geology down here. Underwater, it's about 34 feet deep out here by the big rock in the center. And I couldn't believe it just last year. As many years as I've been diving here, you always find something new. I found this hole that had 9 PVs from the logging industry, chains from loggers. I found amazing things. And there's boulders between that rock in back of me and the New Hampshire side, which we're looking at right now, Route 12 in Walpole, New Hampshire. I'm in Bellows Falls. Between that rock and that shoreline, there are boulders that are 25 feet high, and they're huge. They are so big. You can't even imagine. I never knew we had boulders like that down there. And I started wondering, are there any petroglyphs on those boulders? So I found myself underwater searching and looking for that. I didn't see any there, but I did see one individual one, and it was years ago, and it was in the channel that goes under the Vilas Bridge. I really hope that we can get the very, very significant Vilas Bridge reopened between Walpole and Bellows Falls. It is incredible. It's vital. It's vital for people to be able to walk across and look down at the Native American petroglyphs, and the beautiful view from that bridge is unbelievable. It's currently closed, and we hope that it reopens. It's really important. What I keep finding here is amazing. I have found so many historic pieces of machinery from the 1800s. I've actually found these 2, along with my friends, 2 huge pulp stones. And they're actually part of this riverfront, historic riverfront park. So we were able to get those out of the water, which was absolutely fantastic. This is an incredible place. And the history, it was so amazing here. But I found the pulp mill stones. Then I found the paper mill equipment. Then I found the steamboat hold before the steamboats came up into the canal locks. Every dive is a story, and all these mysteries. Thank goodness we have the historical societies, the fishermen, the people that live here locally, the public. Everyone puts these mysteries together for me, and I learned so much from everyone. So I love to find and discover and explore. And thank goodness we have so much interest in people wanting to know or discover what I have found and tell me and the history. It's uncovering so much history since the river has cleaned up over the last 30 years. So, oh, by the way, this is a dive flag. If you're a boater, because we don't have a lot of divers here, and you see one of these flags, that means I'm attached to it underneath. So please don't run over me. I'm underneath it, okay? These depths right here range anywhere from like 18 feet average to deeper holes like 34 feet or so. And all the fishermen always want to know where those are because, of course, the walleye love the deeper holes. So yes, there are a lot of walleyes here. And yes, I keep finding a lot of PVs and logging equipment, all kinds of the great big links that were used regularly by the loggers. I love diving here with this Riverfront park. I can't believe how many people, I've been diving here way before it was a park. And I had to bushwhack to get into the river. But what's great now, there's a beautiful set of stairs that go right down to the water. And if you are a boater or a kayaker, you do have to be careful and pay attention because there is actually water flow that discharges just north of me, right there. But there's a big warning and the yellow lights will flash and it'll say, warning, warning, water level's going to change. So you do have a warning to do that. But there's also a website you can go on that will explain what the water flow is going to be. And that's what I do, or I call, because that way there, I know what to expect. You don't want to be down there diving, and then, even though I'm swiftwater diving certified, you don't want to be down there with nice calm water. And next thing you know, all these things that you found that you want to bring in for the Historical Society wash away, right? Don't want that to happen. So it is important to pay attention to that. But it's always an adventure. It's very safe here. I love it. I love diving here. There's been a few times I've been in the middle of the river. Of course, underwater, I couldn't hear the yellow flashing lights. And even if they tell you they don't expect to open the dam, sometimes they have to unannounced. And a couple of times when that happened, you hold on to all the rocks underwater. You hold on to all those rocks underwater to make your way back. It's just like sea hunt. If you've ever watched Lloyd Bridges and how he got across in heavy current, same thing. We have the Native American petroglyphs, as I said, and no one knows exactly when they were carved. The petroglyphs here are just so symbolic. Beautiful Fall Mountain with all the history of that behind us. We have the industrial area that we had here that was amazing. We had the Island House, a very, very, there goes my dive flag, a very famous place called the Island House. And steamboats and people from New York City and Hartford, they would come up the river in steamboats and stay here and vacation here. We just had so much. And then, of course, when the trains came in the 1840s, it was so much work for the steamboats to come up and, have to come up the locks and then go by land and, be put back into the water north of the falls. What happened was the trains were much more efficient and steamboats actually phased out. But it's so great to know this history that I did not know before. But as I found all these incredible things, that is how I personally learned about all this. From the historical societies on both sides of the river, Walpole's been extremely helpful to me, Westmoreland, Putney, Westminster, I can go on and on. Support your local historical society. That's all I can say. And if you want to learn a lot about your area, it's amazing what they have. And we're just so fortunate to have these historical societies and have access to them. I would highly suggest if you want to know more about this area, you should do the same. There's, again, untapped discovery here. With all my years of diving, I've been diving for 40 years since I've been quite young, and the river has cleaned up so much now, from 3 inches to 20, 30 foot visibility, sometimes as much as 40 if it hasn't rained a lot. And what I'm finding and discovering every dive is a new adventure and a new mystery. So I am so thrilled to have the opportunity to dive in one of the most historical rivers in the United States. Our Connecticut River, 410 miles long, is one of the nationally designated historic heritage rivers. And this is my favorite place to dive, right here. I've been to 43 countries, 146 islands all around the world, all kinds of expeditions. But my love right now, this river has more history in it. I have found so many more things in this river just in the last few years of it cleaning up. Fortunately, I am so happy to say you're going to actually get to see from the air what I'm talking about. It's amazing to be above land during beautiful foliage season and above the water of where I have been finding so many historical things. I'm so excited about it. I just can't even begin to tell you. And looking at actually where I've been seeing all these bass, and fishermen are always asking me, so I'll tell you this. Right over in back of me, that's the deep hole where the walleye like to hang out. And the bass are really social. They don't need the deep water. They are actually in shallow water. We will get an idea of exactly what I've been talking about. Let's take a look at the river from south of the dam down to the steamboat hold. So here we go. To be sitting here above the water, I'm used to being underwater in my wetsuit, and this is actually very beautiful today. Sitting here and looking at the most incredible foliage season I ever remember, and filming this documentary has been really, really great. I'm seeing above water and discussing what I'm finding underwater, and the combination of both of them is just incredibly important. And I'm looking at the water, and I know from here, right where the walleye are, right where the bass are, right where I found the steamboat hold, right where I saw the petroglyphs, right where I see the eagles regularly, and it's just an incredible area. It's beautiful. It is so beautiful to see this river flowing. As you can see, it's flowing faster today. This would not be a day that I would be out in the middle of the river with a flow like it is right now. But it's been pretty calm most of the summer. We've had very little rain, and I've had incredible visibility. The scenery is so beautiful. Right now, Jay's drone is in the middle of the Connecticut River looking south toward Westminster, where I found the amazing glacial clay. And it's actually in the middle of the river here, an average of about 26 feet deep. And we're looking south, right where the steamboat hold is, on the Vermont side. It's absolutely amazing. So right to your right, that is, you'll see a little outcrop. And that is where I found the steamboat hold underwater. It's actually, it was 34 feet deep, and as I said, I came across this huge mound, and it's right where we're looking right now. Amazing history right there. And then that is also where I found the water temperature fluctuate and drop to 34 degrees of this beautiful, cold, bubbling water coming out of the gravel. And that is amazing also because guess what? All the trout were all lined up around it. It was turning up the water, and they liked that cold water where that came into the river. And that was such an amazing thing for me to see. I was really surprised, and they're still trying to figure out that mystery. Where did that come from? Why is it like that? So as we're going along, you can see this was an amazing area of industrial development in the 1800s, mid-1800s at its peak. We had so many inventions here. It's amazing. The earliest canal that was charted in the United States, the ferry boats, the steamboats. Amazing. I can't believe how beautiful the foliage is this year. The reflections against our beautiful Connecticut River here in Bellows Falls at the Riverfront Park. It is so beautiful. Let's go diving.